I started making money. And of course, I post on Facebook. My mom doesn't speak English, but she can translate everything. She can translate all the posts. And my mom asked me for money many times. It would deposit for her new house and even the fees for my little sister's university. I did not ask my mom for her support when I was growing up, all these things. And so I feel like I have my reasons to feel a no in my body. It could have been very easy for me to people please, but guys, I don't have a bone of people pleasing in my body. And this is why I actually end up with a lot of clients who are people pleasers because they want to learn how to overcome that. So for me, it was an easy no. Welcome to Exposed, the show that gives you the raw truth about what it really takes to build a multi-million-dollar coaching business and a life that you're obsessed with. I'm your host, Juliana Garcia, marketing strategist and master coach. And after building a multi-million-dollar business from scratch, each week, I want to take you behind the scenes with actionable business strategies and profound mindset shifts to help you create wealth from the inside and out, so that you can become the exception to the rule in the coaching industry. I'm exposing the uncomfortable truths, the failures, and the topics that most podcasts don't dare to talk about. So let's dive into today's episode. What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 3 of the Exposed podcast. I cannot wait to share everything I have in store for you. Extra excited because I want to tell you the truth. Let's start exposing things from the beginning. This podcast production, creation, ideation, launch has been very challenging. I am currently in a war zone. I don't have the perfect setup. I literally have my laptop on book. I am working with what I've got because we need to get this episode out the door. It's going to be fresh off the presses by the time that you get it. And I wanted to share this because some people think that they have to have the perfect everything in order for things to flow, or otherwise it's a sign that you shouldn't be doing it, and it couldn't be further from the truth. I committed to this. I am willing to be resourceful, and I am here. And so I'm proud of myself. I'm excited for today's episode. And so to recap where we have been, episode 1 was about how I went from being an immigrant to becoming an entrepreneur in Australia. Episode 2 was about how I went from my first client to my first million and all the obstacles I met along the way. And episode 3 is about how I went from 1 million to multiplying it and sustaining it. Now, in this episode, I don't want you to tune out if you haven't made your first million, if this is not your goal, or if you have already done it. Because the principles that I am going to teach you, the stories I'm going to share, are going to help you expedite your way to your first million or to whatever number it is that you desire. $1 million is not what we want to glorify in this podcast. $1 million is neutral. For some people, it's a lot of money. For some people, it's not a lot of money. The point is not the number. The point is not the goal. The reason why I want you to think about what is it that you want to create, how much money do you want to make, is because a lot of people don't even ask us that. We don't even dare to think that, because what if we don't get it? What if we feel disappointed? But I want you to have a number that maybe scares you, that you want. Because this is one of the first lessons I want to teach you. It's never about the goal. The goal is the vehicle for your transformation. That's it. So who we become along the way is what makes the goal possible. I wish I had really embodied that a lot earlier, but this is why I'm sharing it with you, because even though by the time that I had made already $1 million, I knew this on somewhat of a conscious level. I knew it consciously. I hadn't really lived it deeply. And I'm going to share some stories that are going to show you how confronting it was and how difficult it was to move through all the thoughts about what if I lose it all? What if I never get it? What if I can't repeat it? What if I don't have the support around me? What if et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to go through very specific the strategic aspect of what it meant to create the million, things that I know are going to help you even if you are not there yet. They're going to help you expedite your journey to whatever number it is that you want to create. And also the mindset, the lessons, the character that I needed to develop in order to get to where I am today and become the woman that I am today. So the first thing I want to say is that Not everyone wants to make $1 million, and that's okay. We don't want to glorify that. And this podcast is really about helping you understand the reality of what it really takes to create something that feels impossible. And maybe you're the first in your lineage that creates something like this. And so I want to show you how you can be the example of what's possible, the exception to the rule, and how you can sustain it. I know we all have probably seen people who make a lot of money, make millions of dollars, but they can't sustain it. Or maybe they feel empty after they have achieved it. So you're going to walk away with a 360-degree view of the internal and the external operating system that you need in order to get to your result in a more efficient way. In 2020, I made my first $1.5 million. And in 2021, on January 7th, I had one of the worst days of my life, one of the most traumatic days of my life. The guy that I was dating broke up with me in a hotel room in Miami with just 3 sentences after having the most magical vacation. He broke up with me unexpectedly, and I literally thought this person was going to be the father of my kids. So that happened at maybe 7 p.m. After that, I got an email from my coach at the time, and this coach kicked me out of her mastermind because she didn't believe in my vision and she wanted everyone to follow her process. And I was just different. I didn't have the same business model as hers. So she said, you don't belong here. I only want people who want to follow my way. That was hard because I really had learned so many amazing things about business and that was really hard because I really care about her and I had trusted so much. But the way that I was broken up with, very traumatic. And on top of that, 3 clients backed out of my new mastermind, the Momentum Mastermind, which was my first ever launch of that. I still have the Momentum Mastermind specifically for people who have graduated the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind and are ready to go to their first million. So this was my first launch and I had like 8 people. I can't remember, but anyway, 3 backed out and I ended up with 4 people. So all of this happened within the space of like 5 hours. I was so depressed that I couldn't even go to the bathroom. I couldn't even take myself to the bathroom. I felt like love, business, life was just eating at me. And the reason why I want to start by saying that is because sometimes when we hit a goal, we think problems are going to go away. Once you make $1 million, you'll be great. But problems are forever. Challenges are forever. And that is not a problem. What is a problem is when we resist the reality and ask, why is this happening to me? And we shrink and we start believing that love or money or stability is just not available to us. When in reality, these are the moments that help us grow roots so that we can sustain not just the success, but everything else we desire. My life has been filled with moments like this when I was going through an 8-year immigration process to come to America. And it was extremely anxiety inducing. And I was trying to build my business. I wasn't even making $100K at the time. I was working on it. And I felt like I had 2 very important jobs. My livelihood was in my hands. I had no backup plan. I had to get this citizenship, file the paperwork, and then wipe my tears and then go do a live stream because I wanted to nourish my business. It was not easy to go years and years in such deep sense of uncertainty. But the woman that I am today is the result of being able to experience the full emotional spectrum and coming out of it knowing, I did that. I lived through that. I lived through that wild, unexpected circumstance. So we are going to talk about how to move through really difficult circumstances. And this is why this applies to you, whether you've made your first million or not. But for me, all these things happened throughout my entire career. And I want to show you how to think about it differently so that you walk away with more power, with more grace, and with more elegance through the entire process. So here are the things we're going to cover today. First, what are the changes that I made in my business in order to sustain and multiply $1 million? Number 2, what are the changes to my mind that I had to make in order to sustain it? Because you're still going to have wobbles. You're still going to think, can I do this again? Was this a fluke? How can I go for more? What if I lose it all? we're going to talk about all these thoughts. Next, we're going to talk about how to navigate relationship dynamics with your team, with your family, with your loved ones, with your friends, once they start seeing that you are making money, that you are making a lot of money. The fourth thing we're going to talk about is what are the complete bullshit myths about making and sustaining millions? What are the complete bullshit myths about making and sustaining millions? You guys are not going to like me. You are going to expect something else from me. It's going to be controversial, but I'm exposing the truth. And lastly, what does my life look like right now? How am I able to work 2 days a week? How did I create this reality? And how you can do that too. And the last thing is, what does my life look like right now? Why my life matters to you? Because I want you to see what's possible. If there's one thing that people call me is an expander. And that's why my clients hire me, because of the way that I think and the way that I create things in my life that seem impossible. I want you to be able to have access to the wisdom that I share with my clients, but literally for free here in this podcast. So everything that I'm going to be sharing, I'm going to be relating it to your life, but I also want you to take it as an example of what's possible for you. So the first thing that I want to talk about is what changes I made in my business in order to sustain $1 million and multiply it. A lot of people think they have to change everything in order to get to 1 million or to multiply it. And the reality is that I kept things very simple. I had a really strong foundation. What it was, and here's what that was. I had a really strong foundation, really clear offers, a really clear message, a really elegant sales method, and world-class delivery. Those were the key things that I focused on in order to get to $1 million. I want to tell you about my prices. My offers were the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, which was $11,000. It currently is. My Ascension Mastermind, which was the Momentum Mastermind, still existing. And the pricing is $25,000 or $50,000 for VIP. And then my private coaching, which ranged from $75,000 to $120,000. So I had simple, clean offers, one type of client, a very clear distinction between the 3 different offers, and a clear message. My sales were converting at 100%, but I'm going to tell you what the problem was with that, which is one of the things I've changed. But everything was working, but I wasn't burned out. I felt confident in my message. I felt confident in every aspect of my business. So I had to look at the things that were not working. So guys, this is what happens when you have stability in your business. You have offers that you know how to sell, you know when to sell them, and you master your business. It becomes predictable. That's why I don't like my business to be a circus. I don't need my business to entertain me. I don't need my business to inspire me. I source inspiration. I decide that my business is amazing and then I go nourish it. I don't wait for it to be a circus and to entertain me, because a circus is going to give me a result of what? Chaos. My biggest desire, because I had a really turbulent past in life, I wanted my business to feel peaceful. And that's what I committed to, simplicity, because simplicity creates peace. Okay. I'm also an Aries and I'm a 3 in the Enneagram. So I like efficiency. I don't like unnecessary hard work. I like predictability because life is already wild enough, right? I want to set myself up for peace and calm in the ways that I can. So having pillars of your business that are very strong helps you relax, and it helps you have the emotional bandwidth and mental bandwidth to deal with the things that life throws at you, because life is always going to life. And so I don't want my business to be another thing that brings me unexpected things that, for example, coming up with random offers and things that I just now need to come up with a message for and a sales process for is just so chaotic. So for me, simplicity is king, queen, whatever you want. And simplicity brings me peace. So I had a very simple business. In terms of my team, I got to $1.5 million with only one assistant and one support coach, a copy coach. That was my team up until I got to 1.5 million. Now, what did I do in order to multiply to $2.5 million? Okay. So I noticed I started looking at what are the things of my business that feel heavy that are not working. And one of the things that was not working for me was sales calls. Why? Because they were taking up a lot of my time. And I love sales calls. I recommend every single business owner owns their sales process because that's what's going to give you the intel, the intimacy to understand how to speak to your clients. Sales are the life and blood of your business. So if you don't want to do sales calls, you are missing out on such a huge amount of delightful information and connection that creates intimacy between you and your audience, that helps you create amazing marketing, and that helps your clients feel held, especially when we have a premium price. It's so important to understand what their fears are and know how to navigate those. And that's what I help my clients with inside of the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. So we know my offers, we know my price, we know my team, and we know the things that were not working. So I want to move into that. So my sales calls were taking up a lot of my time, even though I was converting all of them. And I had to make a really difficult decision that totally challenged my ego, my mindset, and what I thought was possible. Because I'm the type of person that's like, don't change it if it's not broken. However, I picture my life working 5 days a week, 40 hours, and really being so on Zoom and coaching my team. That was very taxing. So I knew this was not sustainable. But what do I change? And the thing that felt the scariest to change, and this is what my coach actually helped me with at the time, was removing sales calls. So I don't recommend you do this any earlier than if you have already made 7 figures, because most people, what they do is they go hire a sales team and they keep sales calls. But now they have more expenses, they have more people to manage. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see business owners make is hire too many people, and they don't strengthen their marketing and their sales process to help their ideal client believe that they can make a decision on their own. So I did something crazy. I did something that challenged all the rules of business, of marketing, of digital marketing. And I decided that if I really believe that my thoughts create my reality, then I can influence the process that people go through in order to buy my $11,000 program, the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. And what I did is I sat down and I thought, what are the beliefs that people need to have in order to make a decision on their own? And there was some work for me to do there, because exposing the truth here, I realized that I wanted so badly to keep doing sales calls and continue overworking, because I wanted to feel necessary. I wanted to feel required. My ego wanted to say, look, I convert 100% of the time. I'm so good at sales. Look, like my clients always love their decisions. They get amazing results. The problem with that is that I was taking their power away. I wanted to feel required. I wanted to feel important. My ego wanted to feel like he was doing such a good job. On the other hand, the problem is what I was not seeing is that I just didn't believe that my clients could make a powerful decision on their own. I thought they need me in order to make a decision. They need me to guide them through their decision-making process. And that is a thought that can be fully challenged. So I did the thing. I removed sales calls and I created what I call a belief funnel. I wrote down all the beliefs that I need to have in order for people to make a powerful decision on their own. And what are all the beliefs that they need to have in order for them to make a powerful decision on their own without me in the picture. And I broke all the marketing rules, VSLs. I mean, everything that you learn about marketing and sales, everything that I had learned, completely threw it out the door, because I knew that there was something different about my sales process. My sales process is very much grounded in understanding how you make decisions, forgiving yourself for any decisions that you have made in the past, and really asking your future self, what would you do now? So I created a belief funnel, and a funnel that then translated to a real funnel of my sales process, of my checkout process, that now doesn't require people to get on the phone with me. And to my surprise, it worked. I was terrified, but that is the power of having a strong message, having a strong sales process not outsourcing your power to other experts to do the work for you because you think you cannot do it. And I cannot tell you the amount of people who have been in marketing that I admire for 20, 30, 50 years. And they are blown away by the fact that this is how my business works. I empower my clients to believe in their ability to make decisions. I am so generous with the content that I create that they come already decided at their computer and they fill out that application and they know that this is the right decision for them, even if they're scared. So I want you to know that if people are not feeling decided on working with you, it's not because you need to do more. It's simply because you haven't mastered your ability to explain the value of your offer in a clear and concise way. And your beliefs about your clients are not serving them in making a decision. You might be thinking they're not able to make a decision on their own. They don't have the money, that they're not going to want it right now, the time's not right. If you're thinking any of that, you're going to get that on your calls. So my job was to clean all of that up and to clean up all the thoughts I had about me and them, to create an environment where people felt safe to make a very big decision. $11,000 without talking to anyone is a big decision. And that really elevated the caliber of clients that I had in my containers. So that's one of the biggest changes that I made. I made others, but I will tell you more about it in a different episode. That's the one thing that I want you to really take away from this part of this episode, which is what are the beliefs that you have about your clients when it comes to buying? What are the beliefs that you have about you when it comes to selling? All of that is going to show you exactly why you're getting the results that you're getting. And if you want support with that, you know exactly where to find me. My clients, when we coach on this, they literally create results like going from selling a $500 group program to selling a $120,000 private coaching offer. Or even if you're not wanting to sell a $100,000 offer, it could be as simple as having the confidence and the belief in your ability to sell at a higher price point or sell more of your programs at the current price point. You don't need to elevate your prices if it's not right for you. And that's also something that we look at in the program to make sure that you're actually selling at the correct price point, not underpricing or overpricing. Okay. So I want you to think about this as an exercise. What is your belief funnel? What are your beliefs when it comes to marketing, sales, and delivery? In your marketing, do you believe that your audience doesn't have the money? Well, then what's going to happen? You're going to have that show up on your calls. You're going to have that in your DMs. In your sales, do you believe that people need to be convinced and that they don't see the value and that they need time and that they're not ready and that it's hard to sell something at whatever price you have? That's what's going to show up on your calls. Or in your delivery, what are your beliefs about your clients? That you're responsible for their results, that they won't be happy unless you do everything for them? These are all things that people don't think about when they teach business. They just teach you strategies. They teach you tactics, which I am all about. I love helping people with the practical, the tactical, the strategic, everything down to your words, your copy, your message, your brand, sales process, funnel. I'm all about it. But I also have an equal amount of respect for the beliefs that we need in order to not respect. But I also prioritize the importance of the beliefs we need to have behind the strategy. Literally, every single step of your business is being held. Every single part of your business is being supported by a belief. And it's your job to understand what that is and see if it's working for you. And if it's not, it's time to change it. Sometimes you don't know how to change it because you think it's true. Like I thought I just needed sales calls in order to sell, or I needed to hire a sales team. Both of those thoughts were actually not true. There were multiple other options available. And when you have support, when you have somebody who can actually show you a different perspective that might be the best fit for you, your world will open up and feel like it fits you like a glove. And that's why my clients' businesses feel that way too, because we find the way that works for them. So that's what was working and wasn't working. Now I want you to notice what I did not need in order to make $1 million and then multiply it to 2.5 million the next year. I didn't need a massive audience. Actually, my audience did not grow. I made $2.5 million with 2,500 active subscribers on my email list. I didn't need a massive team. I didn't have a huge product suite. I just had 3 solid offers. I did not need a sales team. And I did not overcomplicate my business. Simplicity is the way to create and sustain. My philosophy is that simplicity is the way to create a healthy business and sustain it. And the people that I see that can't sustain it is because they prioritize other things like more products, more audience, more team, and they drop the ball on the delivery. They want to hand off the coaching to another coach and they want to scale and just forget about everything else. And that's fine for them if that's the way they want to do it, but that's just not how I prefer my business. I actually do love coaching. I love being connected with my clients. I love getting in there. I love partnering up with them. And so if you are not that person that likes to coach, then maybe it's not for you. You're not meant to be a coach and that's okay. There are many other businesses that you can try that are actually going to be more aligned for your design. A mistake, I also didn't need to hire a bunch of people. And I want to highlight that because I actually did end up hiring a bunch of team members for all sorts of different jobs because I got told you need more team to scale, you need more help, you need to expand. And I believe that was true. And in reality, when you hire more people, the more cooks in the kitchen, the more complexities, the more systems, the more breakdowns, the more opportunities for breakdowns that can occur. So for me, what I actually found most helpful is to have a lean team and have people that really own their role, who can do the things that are in their zone of genius. And we just focus on simplifying the process to the result. For example, removing sales calls. Instead of adding a sales team, which is literally like having a bunch of babies that now you have to raise, I decided I didn't want to do it that way. And I wanted to simplify my life. So make sure that when you hit $1 million, you really start noticing what is working, what's not working, and find all the possible solutions instead of just doing one thing because some guru said that you just need sales calls and that's how everybody does it in the space. I am the exception to the rule. I don't do that, and my business is thriving without sales calls and without a sales team. Let's talk about thing number 2. What are the changes that I had to make in my mind in order to sustain $1 million and even multiply it? Because the thoughts that go through your mind are not very helpful. You think that once you make $1 million, you're going to feel amazing all the time. The reality is that your brain starts acting up, thinking, how do I do it again? How can I go for more? What if I lose it all? And these are all thoughts that people can have at the 6-figure level, 7-figure level. And here's what I want to share. Before I made $1 million, I actually experienced so much comparison. I felt like I had to prove that I could do it. I was comparing myself to others all of the time. In fact, one of my friends made $1 million in a weekend, and I remember feeling so angry because I thought, he's been doing it for like a couple of years. I've been a coach for so much longer. Why is that happening so fast for him and not for me? And this is after years of comparison and thinking that I was not doing it well enough, fast enough, until I got so tired of that voice. And I said to myself, would I give myself 10 years to make $1 million? And at the time I was 30. So would I be content if I take 10 years to make $1 million? If I'm the first person in my family to do this, for me, I said, yes, I would give myself time to do it. From that moment on, I released the pressure about the timeline. I released the timeline and I focused on the process and knowing that it was guaranteed it was going to happen no matter what if I continued and I dedicated the next 10 years to that one thing. And once I did that, I went from making like mid 6 figures, not even to $1 million. I went to 1.5. So why do I tell you that story? Because once I made 1.5 million, you would think, oh my God, you're enjoying life and you're enjoying yourself and all things are well. And that happens. But very quickly, you rush to the next thing. And the thing that rushed me the most was the environment that I was in. I was surrounded by people who were 7-figure earners. I actually was part of this mastermind where you get ranked based on your income level. So there was a sense of who's better, who's doing it right, and then all the way down to who's the lowest earner. Now, that's a neutral circumstance. I assigned the meaning that I learned from childhood, which was I'm not doing a good enough job. I need to be the first because I was the second on the board. And that brought me a lot of pressure. I created pressure for myself. So I'm not going to blame the coach or the system. The system is neutral. The way that I applied the system to my situation was not healthy. And I started to create a lot of pressure to do more, to be more. And I stopped enjoying the wonderful, miraculous result that I had just created. And I was already focusing on how can I double it? How can I double it? How can I double it? So I was very hard on myself because I saw other people, doing it, even though I was number two. You would think it's back to childhood. Like my inner little girl came online and she wanted to be the first. She was scared to not be good enough. And that reminded me of that conversation that I had, the year before with myself when I had to soothe myself and ask myself, wait, you don't need to do this right now. You don't need to become a millionaire tomorrow to make $2 million by the end of the year. This is too much pressure. This is so much pressure. And I am so sorry for putting all this pressure on you. I am so fucking proud of you, Juliana. You're already my dream come true. Like, oh my God, how did we do this? We did it. And I really had this moment of, I respect myself way too much to put money above my well-being. It's just not gonna be the way. I love money and I also care about my well-being. And when I say well-being, I don't mean, oh, let's not work and let's not put an effort into what I want to do. Well-being is how you talk to yourself, because the way you talk to yourself defines how well you be, your well-being. I just made that up, but I guess that's a thing. And my well-being was not tip-top. I was not being kind to myself and I was putting unnecessary pressure because I saw other people doing it. And so for you, if you are listening to this, you're comparing yourself to others, don't throw rocks at other people that are making amazing strides in their businesses. I mean, you can if you want to, but it's such a waste of your energy. What I want you to notice is, what do they represent? And for me, what they represented was what's possible. And they represented that I was in the right place. I am surrounding myself with people who are creating amazing things. That's great. Does it matter? Does it mean anything about me if I am not making the same amount of money or more? That's up to me. That's my decision. So I decided, no matter what, whether you make 0K months or you make 100K months, or at the time I started making 200K months, I'm going to love you no matter what. I'm going to love you no matter what. Because you and I, baby, you and I, Juliana, we are here for life. So I made a commitment. I don't care if I stop being the first or the second. I am doing it for me. There's a way. And my coach at the time gave me some recommendations to expedite my process to make it to 20 million, which was basically burn down everything that was working and start all over again. And that did not feel good to my nervous system. So I knew I wasn't in the correct place. My intuition told me, this is not the right place for you. This has been a great place. And I'm so grateful for all the coaching that I received, but it's not correct for me. And funny enough, like a few months later, the coach kicked me out of the mastermind because A, she didn't believe in my vision, and B, she thought that I wasn't giving her credit, and C, she thought that I was poaching her clients. None of those things were true. My peers were joining my program and everybody was joining each other's programs, but I don't know why she didn't want people to join my program. So through an email, she said, our relationship is over and you're getting kicked out of everything. That was one of the most traumatic things I went through because there was no explanation other than you're wrong, you're doing all these things wrong, you don't belong here, goodbye. And I had to hold myself through it with such elegance, with such radical self-acceptance and love, because I knew that the universe was redirecting me to a place that was aligned for my future. I did not see it at the time. At the time, I thought it was the worst thing that could happen. I spent a lot of time in therapy, in coaching, making sense of the whole thing. I trusted this person. I care about this person. This person knew my deepest beliefs. And when you have a few-year relationship with a coach and they just do that, it's neutral again, but it really hurt. And I have never talked about this before because I never want to come off as a victim. I never want to blame anyone for my feelings. My feelings are mine. Their actions are theirs. I get to choose how I feel. And I know that this is something that a lot of you probably have experienced, maybe will experience. I really hope you don't. And for those of you who are coaches, I want you to know that there's a way to lovingly have a conversation with your client and release them and let go with mutual love and understanding. It doesn't have to be traumatic. Or there's a world where it can be loving. There's a world where breakups can be loving. There's a world where things can be loving, even if they are loving on your end. That's all you can control. So I learned a lot from being released in that way, from being kicked out. Nobody knew what happened to me. Like literally only years later, people found out because I was in such shock and freeze mode that I just couldn't believe that had happened. I really felt abandoned. And, that also triggered my abandonment wounds from when I was little. So I'm grateful for that coaching relationship because it really showed me where I wasn't trusting myself. Like I literally remember going to every coaching call and being like, no, this is not for me. No, this is not for me. Like, let me give you an example. This coach would tell people what to charge and would get angry if people raise their prices. I would never do that. I'm like, you're the CEO of your business. You decide how much you want to charge. Let's talk about it. It's more dictatorship than like co-creationship. And that's just not my vibe. So I knew deep in my heart that this was the right thing for me, but it was very difficult. So I am now at a place where I can talk about this and I'm not frozen by it, but it took me a while. And I just want you to know that if you have gone through anything like that, we all have at some point. I want you to know that you can get through it. If you have been the coach in the relationship that people feel maybe offended by, forgive yourself. Treat things with kindness as much as you can. And if you have been the coach who has felt affected by it or has been on the receiving end of it, then forgive and find the lesson. Because walking around blaming coaches and throwing shade, it's not going to help anybody. It doesn't help the industry. It doesn't help anyone. And that's how amateur marketing happens. When you log in and you see people criticizing this person and that person and that person, and then they get engagement and then they think they're doing a great job. But what you're doing is you're attracting people who have the same mentality, the same victimhood mentality. Do you want that as clients? Is that the strategy that you want to use for your business? To criticize others, to throw them under the bus? And even if you have every single reason to do it, is that how you want to carry yourself? Is that what you will look back on and say, I'm so proud of myself for how I handle that? Maybe for you, that's a yes. Respect your decision. For me, that's a no. So I process things privately. I let myself feel the emotions. And whenever I am ready, I will share. And this happened 3 years ago. So I am now able to talk about it. And even now I'm really being mindful of how I share the lessons instead of blaming somebody for their actions. Because when people do those kinds of things, they're in pain. They're not aware of the impact that they're having. And it's not my job to teach them how to behave. That's God's job. I have way more important things to do. I have me to do. I have my life and I have my vision. And you just let people fall off and then you move on. And then you process this with your coach or your therapist, period. Okay? All right. Well, I actually wasn't planning on sharing that, but I guess we did it. So let me go back to what I wanted to say about your relationship with your goal, your relationship with making however much money you want to make. Remember, love yourself, whether you make $0, $100,000 a month or $200,000 a month. Your worth doesn't change. It's your thoughts about you that make a difference in your internal world. that well-being. You must at all costs protect your confidence and your self-esteem. So if you have a low month and you think, it's all over, I'm not good enough, what is happening? If you start questioning yourself, that is amateur thinking. It's not premium thinking. Is I'm a badass for having tried. I'm a badass for doing this. My opinion of myself is what matters the most. How do I want to treat myself? How do I want to choose to treat myself on the way to this result? What would feel amazing to wake up to? Because you are the person that you're going to wake up with and go to bed with for the rest of your life. You, the whole time. So what do you want that dialogue to sound like? I was clear that I was unavailable for self-punishment. I already had enough of that in my childhood. I had enough of that in growing up. I had enough of that in the beginning stages of my business. I had enough. I had enough of doubt. I got bored. I got bored of doubting. So the dialogue for me is, how do I want to show up when things get hard? How do I want to treat myself when things get hard? How do I want to speak to myself from the moment that I wake up to the moment that I go to sleep? I have full control over that. Shit might be going crazy around here. Life will life and things will be happening whether you want it or not. I cannot help you. I cannot help you control the world. But what I can help you with is how you speak with yourself, to yourself. What I can help you with is teaching you, elevating your premium mentality instead of having an amateur mentality about your business and about your life and about your worth. Because your worth is infinite. The way your business performs has nothing to do with how worthy or capable you are of doing it all over again. And the way I find deep certainty is not in me reaching the goal. Because many, many times I have not reached my goal. So the only thing that I was left with was me. Well, where do I find certainty from if I can't be certain that the goal is guaranteed to happen? If I can't be certain that things won't unexpectedly happen? Here's a lesson that I want to share with you. You cannot find certainty in the goal, in the achievement of the goal in a certain timeline, because it may or may not happen. I'm just telling you the truth. People can tell you, oh, manifest it, think about it, whatever. I did all of that and I still didn't do it. I still didn't create the goal. So what? Am I going to start doubting myself? No. The solution is to find certainty in you. You being the person, the woman, the man, the whoever that gets up and does it again. Why? Because you believe in you. You believe in your vision. That's who you are. It's just the way you are. You go for it. You're certain in yourself that you have what it takes, that you have the emotional capacity to feel a feeling that might feel really hard to feel, like rejection, failure, disappointment, but that you're capable of feeling it. That you're going to get up and you're going to do it again and you're going to have fun with it. It's not that fucking serious. Yes, of course, our businesses provide for us and is the money is that we need. But listen, if you make it that serious, it's going to feel much heavier to get to your goal. Much heavier. So you find certainty in you and you make the journey feel lighter when you understand this is a game that I'm choosing to play. I don't have to do this. I can go get a job, be stable, and live a life in that way. All of this is optional. No one's forcing you to do it. So if you are choosing to do it, then choose to do it in a way that supports your well-being, that supports the longevity of your business, of your mental health, of your emotions. And when you feel delicious, guess what happens to your environment? People feel delicious around you, right? They admire the way that you think. They admire the way that you approach things. And that's what makes you an amazing coach too. That's what makes people say, I want her, or I want him, or I want them. Their vibe, the way they think, the way that they show up. That's the crazy thing about my business now, that I have the right foundation. I've done all the practical things. I know my business is set up for success. And the thing that people buy from me, every client tells me that the reason what they join is because of my energy. And I'm like, after all of this, my energy? And I used to fight that so much because I wanted them to value everything else so much more. What created everything else was how I think about myself, the perspectives that I have. And that's what your clients want from you. Everyone's selling the same thing. There are a million marketing coaches out there. Why would somebody want to hire me instead of somebody else? Yeah, sure, maybe lots of things about the program, but ultimately is, does this person expand me to the degree that I want to be expanded? Is this person somebody that I want to let influence my thinking? That's how I hire coaches. Is this person thinking in a way that I currently feel is like, wow, how can you believe that in the most amazing way? Like, I want to believe that. I want to feel that. I want to embody that. Hire people, not just based on the price or the curriculum or the deliverables. Notice how they think. Notice how they live their lives. Notice the truth about how they express failures. And most importantly, hire coaches who have gone through failure, because coaches who have gone through failure understand what it's like to get back up again. And that's what you need. I always get a little bit worried when my clients just start getting like amazing results right away, because they haven't learned what it feels like to experience failure, disappointment. And so when they grow and then they don't experience that yet, it's going to happen at some point. And that gives you character. You want to be able to experience those emotions. It gives you character. It attracts people who have more depth, that see you sharing wisdom and that are going to feel like, wow, she went through that. I'm going through that. Or when I go through that, I want to know what she knows or what they know about this. So your wisdom is beyond your sales page, just your message or your social media presence. These are the things, the intangible things that people buy. So remember, the opinion that you have about yourself is the most important thing. You cannot let anything else dictate your feelings other than the opinion that you have about you, because there will be a lot of times that you're going to be tempted to not believe in you for outside reasons. And by practicing this way of thinking, I became a woman who can go through hard things with softness. I trust who I am because I have gone through hard things. I haven't been afraid to open myself up to the challenge. And that gives me the confidence to know that no matter what happens, I can create it all over again, that I have my back no matter what. And that is my dream woman. That is the dream human that I want to be. That's the price. So for me, it's not about the goal, the $1 million, because in fact, let me tell you the truth. I made $2.5 million and I realized I'm really happy. I love $2.5 million. I don't need to right now go for 5 million. I'm happy, which was wild because of course that's amazing. But when you live in a world where everyone's also going for more and more, then it makes you wonder, like, maybe I should go for more. Maybe I should expand. And for me, it was such a simple thing. Oh, honey, no more pressure. Can we be like, are you happy now? And my little girl was like, I'm so happy. Oh my God. If I made $2.5 million for the rest of my life, would I be good? I was like, absolutely. So my vision of like being this example of what's possible and making like multi-millions right now just did not feel aligned. Maybe eventually it will. But I valued the peace, the life that I have. And instead of not enjoying what I had created, I decided to take a pause and adore every area of my life. Really sit with the magic of what I had created. And for some people, it may not be much. For some people, it may be like, well, you playing small. Okay. This is what makes me happy. This is where I feel good. And for you, that might be $200,000. For you might be whatever that is. This is what I always told my clients. You don't need to want more in order for you to prove yourself, in order for you to prove to yourself that you're growing. You can appreciate. Appreciation is a foundation of manifestation. If we are not appreciating where we're at, we cannot manifest no matter how much we visualize. So spend more time appreciating where you're at now. Because if you are in an insufficient energy of this is not enough, this client didn't close, I thought I was going to make more money, I haven't hit my goal. If you are constantly in that vibe, you're giving yourself a pay cut. You're making it so much harder for yourself to progress. So appreciate yourself. Appreciate your journey. Literally delight in it. I don't care if it's $5. I don't care if it's 100,000, whatever that is for you. Delight in it. Feel delicious about it. Praise yourself. And from that place, go whenever you want. Go. If you want, you don't even have to. All right, so let's talk about something that most people don't want to talk about. Is controversial. Some of you might hate me after this. Some of you might love me after this. Either way, it's perfect. But this is something that I want to dismantle because there's a toxic mentality that exists in the coaching space about everything has to feel easy. You need ease. You can create $1 million with ease. Everything has to feel easy, otherwise you're doing it wrong. If it's not easy, then change your direction, take a break, just second guess, ask your cards, your tarot. Like, listen. The biggest myth that diminishes the amount of millionaire coaches that can emerge in the industry is the myth that everything should be easy or you're doing it wrong, or that everything should have ease or you're doing it wrong. First of all, ease and easy are very different things. An easy life means that you want things to be low effort because you don't like discomfort. You don't like challenges. And if that's you, I don't recommend you become an entrepreneur. Don't aim for a lot. Don't ask much of life, because the more we ask of life, the more life is going to give us. It's going to give us lessons to strengthen our character. And none of that is a problem. What is a problem is when we make that a problem and complain about it. So I don't want an easy life. I do want a life with ease. So what does ease mean? Ease means that you don't need life to be easy in order to navigate it. That you can see turbulent waters and you can say, okay, let's go. I wonder what that's going to feel like. You operate with this sense of curiosity versus attachment or judgment. You don't need things to be easy in order for you to want to do it or to move through doing it, to follow through with it. You are fluid like water. Fluidity is part of your character. And that's something that I teach my clients in Momentum. Is one of our core values. Fluidity is to navigate life as it comes and adapt. You are not attached to things going your way when you're fluid. You are committed to the process and have a level of certainty in yourself and a higher power that you're always going to be provided for. That's ease. Wanting things to be easy sets you up for disappointment because life is always going to be 50% delicious and 50% shitty. And the choice that we make about how we relate to that is what creates ease. So speaking of ease, you can make $1 million with ease. The question is, are you willing to feel all the feelings that come with creating it and sustaining it? Most people are not. Most people don't want to feel discomfort. They don't want to expand their emotional capacity to have a lot and feel a lot. The more you want to have, the more you need to feel. And the good news is that feelings don't kill you. So you have a high chance to create the vision that you have. But are you willing to be wrong about what you think? Are you willing to be confronted with new perspectives that are going to challenge your current way of thinking? Like creating content is not hard. It really isn't. The hard part is the thoughts we have about it when we're doing it. What are people going to think? Oh, this is so lame. I don't think people are going to like it. I'm so bad at writing. I'm not creative. Got all those thoughts. Those thoughts create exhaustion. It's not exhausting to sit down and write something. It's literally just sitting at a chair and like typing things. Easiest job in the world, right? The problem is that we don't want to feel discomfort because we're learning a new skill. We're learning to be creative. We're expanding our capacity to express our thoughts, to be bold, to be visible. And that's what people experience as maybe I shouldn't do it. Let me hire somebody to do it for me. Let me hire an agency, which is one of the mistakes I made. And I realized quickly, marketing is my job. It's me. It's my thinking. Marketing is my mindset. How I think about things is how people can connect with me. How I give perspective shifts is what's going to allow people to understand, oh, that's what I want. That's what I want to believe. That's why I don't believe it. She's got the solution. So ease comes when you allow discomfort and when you commit to mastery. These are not things that people want to do. But when you do, you will find the thing that you don't like easy. Okay? Mic fucking drop on that. Everybody needs that. All right. Okay, now let's talk about how to navigate relationships, both romantic business relationships, family relationships, once you hit $1 million. A lot of people are afraid to make a lot of money because what if you lose your friends? What if friends judge you? What if your family asks you for money? And I actually want to tell you that happened to me. I started making money, and of course I post on Facebook. My mom doesn't speak English, but she can translate everything. She can translate all the posts. And my mom asked me for money many times to pay her deposit for her new house, deposit for a new car. Actually, no, it would deposit for her new house and even the fees for my little sister's university. It was not an easy thing to navigate because the relationship that I have with my mom is a certain type of relationship, and she's very resourced. She's very successful. So I did not appreciate that the responsibility was being put on me for my sisters or for her desires to buy new things. I did not ask my mom for her support when I was growing up. She didn't offer me support when I was going to Australia, when I was all these things. And so I feel like I have my reasons to feel a no in my body. It could have been very easy for me to people please, but guys, I don't have a bone of people pleasing in my body. And this is why I actually end up with a lot of clients who are people pleasers because they want to learn how to overcome that. So for me, it was an easy no. Maybe it wasn't easy to deal with the aftermath, but I knew that the answer was no, because saying yes would be a lie, would be a betrayal to myself. And I want you to know that you can say no when people ask you for money, when people want to charge you more because they know you have money. You can say no. It doesn't mean you're being stingy. It doesn't mean that you're not being generous. It doesn't mean that you're not XYZ. If a price doesn't feel right for you, just because you have money, you don't have to pay it, right? That means being a good steward of your money and honoring yourself when it comes to handling your money. You have to be intimate with your relationship with the money that you make, the money that you spend, where you want to give it, where it doesn't feel good to give it, how it feels good to do it or not. But if you betray yourself and do things that are out of integrity with yourself and judge yourself or feel shame, then that's going to not create a safe environment for money to be around you. So own your yes, be generous in the ways that you want to be generous, and be willing to say no if you're not ready to say yes. I could say so much more about this and we'll create a whole other episode if you guys want me to talk about money more. But I wanted to say this because it's a big reason why people are afraid to become very successful, because they don't want people to ask them for money. So what? They asked you, you can say no, moving on, let's go. Keep making money, keep deciding. It's not a big deal. Another thing that happens when you become a millionaire and successful is that some people are going to be haters. They are going to not like you. They're going to be jealous. They're going to make up lies about you. They are going to just judge you. We all judge people. Our brains are made to judge. That's just part of what the brain does. It's not a problem. The thing that I want to invite you to do is don't let your desire to be a millionaire, to make money, be cock-blocked by the fear that others won't like you. Because let me tell you, others already don't like you. I'd rather people don't like me and I'm rich than people not liking me and I'm poor. Like, it's just as simple as that. I know people probably don't like me, but I don't pay attention. I just don't pay attention. I can imagine a lot of people not liking me. I used to be so consumed with the opinion people have about me and how I'm coming off and if I'm saying the right thing, and everything was just like, right now, I'm like, are people going to see my nails? I haven't done them. So what? I could not show up without my nails perfectly done. I needed to everything had to be under control because I didn't want to be criticized. I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be alienated. I wanted to be perfect. And this is part of the growth that I had as an adult, coming from a family that my mom that wanted me to be perfect. I really had to let go of what are people going to think about me, which I still, of course, think. We all think about this. But when we are chronically consumed by people are going to hate me and they're going to start a smear campaign. Let me tell you, I have coached clients who have gone through that, people start really being nasty on the internet. Haven't experienced that myself, but I could easily coach myself through it if it ever happens. However, my thoughts about people is people like me. People, if they don't like me, they don't say it. Or if they say it, it doesn't really go anywhere. And if they want to take it somewhere, like, go you. Like, it's not going to change my opinion about me. I know who I am. I know what I offer. I know people see it. My clients know, my clients see it. And my team sees how I show up behind the scenes in front. I'm the same person. So if somebody really wants to occupy their mind with, judging me, okay, I mean, that's their option. Am I going to let that change the opinion that I have about me? That is the question. So are you going to let other people's opinions about you change the opinion that you have about yourself? Because you have full control over that. And it builds discipline in your brain to really turn up the volume on the voice that you want to hear, that you want to believe, versus all the voices that who actually gives a shit? Are they paying your bills? A. If it is a client and there are things that are not working, have a conversation. Pick up the phone. How can we solve this? How are you feeling? What's going on? There's always ways to repair relationships if that's something that you want to do. There's always ways to be respectful and kind. And that's who I want to be in the world. I don't need to respond to nasty comments because that's not how I want to spend my energy. And so far, I'm not aware of haters that I have. I mean, probably people hate me. Who knows? I mean, surely. I just don't think about that. I don't let that be a reason why I don't show up, because I have been in a place where I care so much about that, and I was losing in my bank account. My purpose, my light was literally diminishing, and all the clients that I've helped would not have been helped had I not gotten out of my own way. So to me, other people's thoughts are their thoughts. Their judgments sometimes can really hurt, especially if it's somebody that you hired as your right-hand person and she worked with you for 2 years and you trusted her and, thought that you could trust her. But then she actually hadn't signed the contract and then went and started talking shit about you. That hurts. It was not easy when you have an agreement and there are things that are in the agreement, but for some reason the contract wasn't signed, which is obviously responsibility on my team. And now people are breaking their word after knowing them for over 2 years. These are things that of course hurt your feelings and of course are crazy. And you just want to be like, this is crazy. And when you get messages from people being like, is this person doing this? Like, do you see how fucked up that is? I'm like, I could show up in a way where I could say nasty things about people. It's just not, I respect myself too much. There's a powerful teaching from the Torah that says judgment hurts the soul of the sender, not the receiver. And that's a price that I'm just not willing to pay. I respect myself way too much to engage in the same way with those who choose to be passive aggressive or unkind to me. And I know because I used to be so damn judgy, and I know that I was coming from jealousy. I didn't really like other people winning if I wasn't winning. And that kept me broke. That kept me small. So please, you are giving yourself a pay cut every time that you get jealous and every time that you judge people. If you see others win, it means that you're in the presence of your desire. They are evidence that you are close, that you're in the space, that your manifestation is around the corner. Let them expand you. Let them prepare you to receive what you want. Let it excite you. It's good news that people around you are winning. That's why I put myself in rooms where I feel like the small fish in the big pond, or where I have peers around me that think similarly, that want to go to similar places. I hire coaches who are winning big and are owning their failures because it opens me up to adopt a winning mentality. And it prepares me to be the next. So when you see others win, say it with me. I am so happy for this person because I'm next. If it's happening for them, it's happening for me. My win is on its way, period. I'm so excited to receive it. Side note, make sure that when you hire contractors, that contracts are signed. Even if the contract is signed, sometimes people can be shady, but it can really make your life easier when you know that you have something that can guide the future of the relationship. people are not going to honor their word all the time. If a contract isn't signed, they have more leeway to just go and be like, sorry, So that's a big mistake that I made, not checking those things. And now I know how to make sure that we have that under control, that we're all on the same page. Even if the person has explicitly said, I would never do that. Okay. I want to trust people's word, but I feel so much better when we have it all agreed upon in writing, and it's much easier. It's just no fluffiness. So I'm all for contracts. All right. Okay. So the final part, what does my current life look like after having gone through all that journey? And for our finale on episode 3, I wanted to share with you guys, what does my life look like? Because I want you to know that you can create a life that blows your damn mind. You don't have to live like me, but I want you to have it as an expander, as a possibility. So I started working full 40 hours a week. Then I cut it down to 3 days a week. I would work on content on Mondays, sales on Tuesdays, and coaching on Wednesdays. And that's how I cut it down to 3 days. And I did that for a few years. But last year, I was going through a breakup that totally crushed me. I was going through this business partnership that did not go so well, where I was also recovering from feeling like I trusted someone that was so close to me, and they were showing up in a way that I never thought possible. I'm like, this person would never do that. And that was happening. So I was going through a lot of emotions. And on top of that, I had mold in my house that I didn't know about. So I had to heal. I wanted to keep working. And the universe was like, no, it's time for you to take some space. I also didn't think that was great. Like, all the circumstances seem like, why is everything happening right now? Like, literally the business partnership happened in like February, the breakup happened in March, and the mole happened in like August. I mean, the whole thing was just hard, not easy. And I'm so glad that it happened, because with the systems that I created in my business, I actually realized I can get it all down to 2 days a week. I can coach, I can market, I can sell, I can launch. I only need to work 2 days a week. So the efficiency of your systems, which I teach inside of the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, literally so simple. But these are the same systems that I used when I was making 200K. They're the same systems that I use now. I mean, they've been adjusted in a couple of ways, but really that created the foundation for me to be able to reduce the amount of time that I work and maintain my income. So I work 2 days a week. What else do I do with my time? I do whatever I want. I love being a homebody. I love travel. And a lot of the time, I just love to think. I love to be with myself. I love spending time with me. I love philosophizing in my brain. I love just doing whatever I want. I'm not like I need to occupy myself with 20 activities. Like, you get to design the life that you want. If you want to spend time with your kids, if you want to spend time whatever, do it. If you don't have kids and you are like, but what would I do with this time? Do whatever. Stare at the ceiling. Think. Create. Maybe. Go to the movies. Take up a hobby. The biggest thing that people struggle with is like, oh, but what would I do with the time? I'm like, you can do nothing. Nothing is good. Be a homebody. I'm a homebody and I'm totally fine. Like, I function well in society. So my introvert gets so much joy out of just being in a beautiful space in my house and just being alone. You might want to design a life where you work when your kids are in school, you take time off when your kids are out of school. And that's one of the things that I help my clients with, designing the life that matches whatever it is that they want, whatever it is that they have. So my life looks like I do whatever I want in those days. I don't judge myself for having 5 days off. If I need to work in any of those 5 days, I also do it, and I do it with joy. And that's why also I started this podcast, because I have the resources, I have the time, and I have the wisdom that I want to share with all of you so that you can do whatever you want with it. You don't have to follow my steps. You don't have to do what I do. I want you to know that this is just an example of what's possible. And if a little girl from Colombia was able to create this life, and not just that, but transform how she thinks, how she feels about herself, regardless of the turbulent childhood and traumas that have happened and have continued to happen even as an adult, then there's a possibility that you can also see the world through a perspective of kindness, optimism, and just really understanding what it really takes to create a fucking delicious life. It's not all rainbows and flowers and butterflies. This is the real stuff. So I want to leave you with this. What do I want to leave you with? So I gave you plenty of questions to ponder on. Maybe go back, write them down. These are the coaching questions that I give my clients, that I've given myself. Write down or define the way that you want to treat yourself as you get to your goal. Notice what is not sustainable in your life right now and find a way to simplify it. Don't quit because things get hard. Double down on the curiosity and the excitement and the flirtation with life of how it's going to work in your favor. Really stick to your lane and stay tuned for more episodes where I'm going to expose the truth about marketing, sales, delivery, relationships, and all the guests that I will have will also be on the seat exposing their truth. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope that you got so much out of this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Look, I'm going to be honest. I never like leaving reviews or sharing episodes unless it's something that really moved me. So if this show resonated with you today, please leave a review. It would mean the world to me. And send it to somebody who really wants to know the raw, exposed truth about what it really takes to create $1 million business and a delicious life. And as a thank you, I'm gifting you a free mini course about the 3 mistakes that coaches make that repel premium clients and how to fix it so that you can start attracting clients now. Check out the show notes to access it, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.